Well, that question you heard there in that report, that billion-dollar question, what can be done to contain the threat, is what we're focusing on in this segment. We have with us Vince Onyekwelu, who's a security consultant and also a former British police officer. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Now you have seen, and everybody is worried about the security situation in the country. When videos like the video we had in that report go viral, it certainly, puts, let's say, anxiety in the minds of many Nigerians. That could be me traveling on the road. It definitely paints a very dire picture of the security situation on our roads, and more so when you now hear about the death of somebody which happened as a result of an incident like that. What can we do to contain the situation?
It's shameful because when you look at the structure of internal national security in Nigeria today, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest, many schools of thought, like myself, we say like we are so bad about going to 7 or 8. That is how poor it is. Lives are being lost. My commiserations to the woman that was killed on Friday. The same thing to many Nigerians, thousands that have been killed. The truth is, our security structure has failed. Capital failure. The governance has failed. Capital failure. Because when you lose lives, if you watch, like, I think there's a newspaper online that does weekly analysis of lives lost in Nigeria each week. I don't want to mention names here, but obviously, people die almost every day in Nigeria. Many of them are poor people. They are buried the next morning. People are killed, hacked to death by bandits, criminals, armed robbers, herdsmen, terrorists. What can we do is the question. So much we have to do. We need to start having that culture of when people fail in leadership, they should resign. Billions we are giving to security forces last year. 1 billion naira, $100 million. What have they done with it? We cannot win these criminal problems the way we are going. What we have has failed us. We need to find a new strategy. What we have currently has failed Nigeria.
What do we have? I think if we start from there, then we can begin to say what should be changing in terms of the strategy that we have.
Beautiful. In project management, we'll call it what we have and the blue sky, what we want to have in the future. What we have currently is a structure whereby nobody takes responsibility of their failures in leadership. Where you have chief of army staff getting so much money, nothing is done, people are dying. Where you have an IGP of police, people are dying, nobody takes responsibility. What we have is a system where somebody makes a statement. That statement is not dealt with. He's not called for an arrest or to be questioned. But when somebody else takes a reaction to the person's initial statement, the reaction statement is being focused on. We have groups of Nigerians from all over Nigeria making very inflammatory statements. We are going through a serious hate crime incident in Nigeria. Hate crime is a very dangerous crime. It comes with personal ideology. Some people believe that they were sent by God Almighty to clean up the earth. Very dangerous ideology to have. Many groups of Nigerians are taking hate into the next level. What we have in Nigeria is a situation whereby lives are lost.
Yeah, I'm talking about in terms of the security apparatus. I mean, because you say that the security apparatus have failed. Now, some people will argue that indeed we are in a dire situation, but that the security agencies, for instance, the police, they're doing what they can within what it is that they have. For instance, we can talk about the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, which they launched the, what was the name of the operation?
Operation Puff Adder.
Puff Adder, which they launched recently, and which has raked in quite a number, not just seeing people rescued, it's also seeing quite a number of people arrested, weapons recovered as a result of that operation, and we're also seeing it stretching, to some parts of the north as well. Now we understand that they're thinking of bringing it to the south. Now, some people will say that when security situations arise, reactive as we might be, we seem to record some successes when the security agencies set their mind to it.
The truth is, Operation Puff Adder has done well so far in some instances. But I still repeat the fact that the security architecture of Nigeria, international security, is a failure. Now, when you recover arms, we don't have a record of where that arms goes to. I've been on this platform we talked about cache of arms, containers of arms that came into Nigeria. That is the end of the story. We don't know where they are. We need to have a system where we can follow up. Were they destroyed? Deactivated? What happened to them? That's number one. Number two, those that were claimed to be arrested on Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, what is their story? Where is our prosecution agency? How many has been prosecuted? How many have been bailed? How many are in custody? How many has been convicted? No story. The most dangerous thing you do as a police officer is to go on the beat, fight criminals, make arrests, and those criminals are let go. It kills your spirit. I've been on the beat. I've seen it all. It kills your spirit because that same criminal will hate you. He will hate who you are, your family, and he's going to come after you in most cases if he knows who you are. So it destroys you that when you fight a crime, that the justice system is not effective enough to prosecute and convict criminals. And most times, politics comes in place. They are released. They are back in society, and they're going to hunt you. Dangerous. That's number two. Number three, what we have right now is a system where we don't even understand the issue of extremism and violence. Why do I say this? Our borders are porous. That any kind of criminal, we have contract criminals. They go to where you invite them to come to. You agree on terms. They come and fight. They make trouble. We even have what we call state-sponsored insurgency.
Do we have that now? We have that in Nigeria?
It's very obviously, for my own peace and my own security, I don't want to say that we have it because I don't want to get arrested. Because that's what we have in Nigeria. The system has found a way to muffle people from speaking. You will hear threat, mind what you say. You hear the presidency say, be careful of your utterances. You cannot say anything right now because you're trying to heat up the polity. But you in the presidency have seen lives being lost. You have failed.
Yeah,
Who is arresting you?
But when you say state-sponsored insurgency, what it would mean is that the state is the one sponsoring the insurgency so they can cure it. There definitely will be signs to that. Isn't that right?
There are states that we have in record because one thing you can never take away in life is truthful stories. True stories of life. If you go around some places like Iran, Lebanon, we know about state-sponsored terrorist organizations. In Nigeria, we have a calamity of broken security architecture, yet we are not looking at the problems directly. We don't want to talk about the herdsmen killers. We want to talk about the cattle rustlers. As a communication expert, you have to look at narratives. Whenever you want to talk about, is that an attack by Fulani herdsmen? Oh, don't mention that name. What do you mean? But when you talk about cattle rustlers, oh, let's talk about them. The question is, there's what we call in criminology mirroring. When you mirror the mindset of a criminal, you can see where they are going. When you mirror the mindset of a drug dealer, you can see where they're going. It's not an easy walk.
Yeah, but those who say that we shouldn't mention their ethnic groups, that their ethnic group has nothing to do with the crimes that they commit, don't they have a point?
Oh.
So for instance, we have drug dealers. We don't say whatever ethnic group they belong to.
Okay.
We have kidnappers. We seem to differentiate between Fulani kidnappers and other kidnappers. We have Niger Delta militants who are not specific about the ethnicity of who these people are. Don't they have a point?
No, they have a point. You must give everybody their own side of the story. But I'm talking about truthful story, historical truthful stories. In Nigeria, we're going to actually call a spade to help us to come out of this calamity we are in. I cannot just keep running around issues when lives are lost and people are dying. In Nigeria, you can say, oh, issue of kidnapping. Oh, Evans, Iberman, it's been discussed. Or you can say, oh, ritual killing. Oh, it's in Yoruba land. It's been discussed. But when you say Fulani herdsmen killings, oh, don't go there. It doesn't mean that every Igbo man is an Evans. It doesn't mean that every Yoruba man is a ritual killer. It doesn't mean that every Fulani man is a herdsman killer. But we want to use these narratives to tell you in that part of the country, look at your neighbor. Check your neighbor, because you are the eyes and the nose of the security agencies. Look what your neighbor is doing. If he's a fellow Fulani herdsman, watch what he's doing. If he's involved in funny activities, because we're talking about, do you know cattle? In Nigeria, we're so small in our thinking of security. Cattle, there's what we call now herder terrorism. So that we've got narco terrorism. Narcotics is only about drug peddling, we all know. But narcotics dealers use narcotics as a way of terror. They sell so much volume that they can influence politics in their community. Herd terrorism is also a new tool that is coming to global terrorist list, whereby cattle can be used as a system to navigate into people's hinterlands, commit crime. Cattle can even carry arms. Cattle can even carry cash, lumps of money on them. You wouldn't know. So there's what we call herd terrorism. Just they've got narco terrorism. So the bottom line is, we in Nigeria have to ask ourselves the truth. We have to look at solutions. What we have currently is not working. We need to change our mindset, change our strategy, see if it's going to work.
What strategy would you say we should be employing right now? I mean, just yesterday, we heard that some people lost their lives to bandits in Katsina State. For those who are traveling, there's still fears. They travel with their hearts in their mouth. You know, what measures would you say we should be employing right now to at least reassure people that you can at least try and sleep? Maybe not watch while you sleep, but at least you can get some sleep, perhaps.
Lovely question. One of the most dangerous things about extremism is this: when the victims of crime await justice and they don't get it, when their family members wait for resolution and assurances and it's not forthcoming, when neighbors across the country do not have hope and belief in the criminal justice system, that is the calamity. That's where we are. So what can we do? Honestly, the mobile phone, the social media has become a very strong tool in crime management. In my community in Anambra State, I set up this kind of social media. Any crime in my community, within 2 hours, it's all over. Every community in Nigeria has to set up social media platforms, be it WhatsApp, be it other platforms that you can set up to inform people of any security alert in your community. It's a must. Set them up. Number two, whenever crime happens on the road, please, if you can, from a reasonable safe distance, give us a video record. Don't risk your life if you cannot do it safely, but give us a video record. Switch off your phone reception system or turn down your volume. Give us a recording. Those information in the hands of security agencies can be helped to capture criminals. What happened on Friday said we don't know who did it. Is it herdsmen? Is it armed robbers? Had we had a video clip, we can actually say what we saw on that shows to be this. We must be secure to do it. That's number one. Number two, building community relationships. The Nigerian security agents don't have a positive community relationship with Nigerians. The army, the police, the DSS, they don't have a positive community building relationship. They need to go and build it. And how do you do it? You need to partner with traditional rulers. You need to partner with faith leaders. You need to partner with youths.
Let me ask you to hold your thoughts on. Let's quickly take questions from my colleagues in Lagos.
Vince, I'm just wondering, with the rate of insecurity that we're faced with in this country, and with the recommendations of the 2014 confab, which the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has now said that perhaps this administration of Muhammadu Buhari should have a look at that with a view to implementing it. How much of that do you think will curtail some of these insecurities that we're facing in the country, and also addressing the issue of restructuring the country?
Oh, fantastic question. I believe that the idea of the 2014 confab is important. However, I still respect the views of a certain APC politician who said, if you bring those confab ideas on the table, how many Nigerians are willing to work with it? Yes, some Nigerians are willing to work with it. Some Nigerians are not willing to work with it. How do you break that divide? It's very important. Number two, when you're talking about restructuring, I think I heard Mr. Yinka saying that it's getting almost late to talk about restructuring Nigeria. For me, whatever keeps Nigeria safe and sound, let it go. Whatever makes us united, whatever makes us to show more love to one another, let it work. Whatever stops the idea of hate This bitter, strong, bitter hate based on ideology, based on religion, based on ancestral matters. Let it go. So whatever works for me, let it go. Let it work for us. So whether it's a restructuring that is going to make Nigeria more peaceful and more productive, let it come on board. Whether it's going to be the issue of the confab that's going to make us to be more united and love each other, let it work. But I think that our eggheads are being paid thousands and millions to take care of that matter. So they should worry about that matter. If they cannot do the job, they should step aside. But the bottom line, my brother, is this. The structure we have has failed us. What we currently have is not working. The security agencies are not even well trained. We are so backwards. Forensics, zero. Do you know that bullet that killed that woman on Friday? We can do a forensics and find out the fingers that have touched that bullet in the last 1 month. But we don't even have the resources to do a forensic touch on the fingerprints that touched that. So we need to actually do more to tell ourselves that we need to know that we don't have the technology. We don't have the right training. Most of our security men are obese. Look at their stomach. All they do is carry AK-47, but their fitness is very poor. They will pant for running 200 meters.
If I may just jump in again.
So we need...
my apologies, Vince. If I may just jump in again, because there has been this discussion for state police. As a matter of fact, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has time and again come out at different forums to say that the way to go is to have state police in place. That will take some parts of the Constitution to be amended. Do you support that what the Ninth Assembly should be doing now is to see that that particular part of the Constitution that seeks to introduce state policing should be the first things that they attend to, even as we speak?
Oh, I think I support the idea of state policing totally. As much as I support the idea of state policing, I also support that the structure of state policing has to be well refined and defined to avoid abuse of state governors. And I believe state governors have got a right to be in charge of their state security. And I think a document that was developed last year by the immediate past Deputy Senate President, Dr. Ike Kwaremadu, is something that we can start with because it was well structured on how to go about state policing, to look at governance, monitoring, observation, and review systems to avoid abuse. So totally, I support the idea of state policing. However, we need to bring experts that not only theoretically understand what state policing is, but people that understand the practice. What do I mean by that? Academics has a very important role to play in our international security. But the same way you have to look at evidence-based formulas, not theoretical-based formulas, but based on evidence. In this community, what works for them in Yoruba land? What works for them in Hausa land? What works for them in Fulani land? What works for them in Igbo? What works for them in Efik land? So you use evidence to know what kind of changes to bring on board. So we need to bring people that have done state policing frontline firsthand. But we still need academics on board, faith leaders, traditional rulers. State policing is the best way to go, but we have to make sure that the process is well structured and have open doors for us to make amendments and make reviews. But it's very important.
Maybe I should just quickly follow up on that, Mr. Onyekwelu. You talked about the trust quotient between our security operatives the other time and the people in the various communities. If we are to follow up with this state policing, because the recommendation of that body that carried out this research and made this recommendation to the president also said state police and local government police. So if the trust quotient is so depleted, how do we build that up? And how long is it going to take before we are able to get a trust quotient that the people can, one, give information to the police, and two, be free and feel safe with the security apparatus that we have now or that we will develop?
Okay, all right, basically, first things first. Once we plan to have state policing in place, we need to first of all train the trainers. The trainers that will train the police officers at their police colleges. We need to update them, upgrade them, so they understand what is building, not just building trust, but building positive public trust. Because The human being is a social animal. We believe in relationships. And that relationship is based on having that understanding of trust. And then in every culture, this is one of the dynamics we use in the British police. In every culture, there's always a subculture. So even if you go to a certain place and they are not open to change, there's always a subgroup in that subculture that you can use to start to talk about how to develop this idea. For example, you are in a place, somebody's about to be burnt with a tire, a criminal, and you're the only person that wants the guy not to be killed. You can't just jump in because they were going to kill you together. But you can talk to somebody who looks like remorseful. This is not good. What we're going to do about it? Say, yeah, bro, this is not good. Second person, before you know, you've got like 3, 4 people on your side. You've got a small group. So we need to target the subcultures in these communities that are not open to relationship, to trust, maybe based on their religion or based on their ideology or based on their mindset. But what we have now is possible. It's about training. The trainers, training officers. We have what we call OST, officer safety training. Every 3, 4 months in the British police, we retrain every officer on the beat. Every officer goes to train every 3, 4 months.
Mr.
Because the world is changing.
Okay, that's it.
But in Nigeria, they don't do those trainings frequently because they're always over-empowered with so much duties to do.
Okay,
so I think it's practical, but it comes down to training and bringing experts to help to do this with frontline experience.
Okay, that's a very good one there. But if I can just ask this one little thing about a comment you made earlier about hate crime. How serious is that in our nation today, given that different ethnic groups are in different parts of Nigeria, so everyone is taking care of everyone. So how deep-rooted is this hate crime, and how do we ameliorate it?
The hate crime is so deep-rooted. If you remember what happened in South Africa after the apartheid regime, there was this apartheid reconciliation committee that dealt with issues. I was schooling in South Africa then, very early in life, and I heard about this particular black woman that the son was killed by a white racist. And in that particular apartheid reconciliation committee, the woman said, I will only forgive you if you accept to be my son. And this is a black woman that's been widowed that was telling the white young man, be my son and I'll forgive you. And the white guy said, yes, I'll be your son. There was this peace. They hugged each other, they cried together, and they became mother and son till today. We need to sit down and do a reconciliation. There's deep-rooted hate crimes in Nigeria that came from back in the days, even before I was born. There are a lot of people who still have this malice, this hatred, this suspicion about one another in Nigeria. We need to probably do a reconciliation to deal with our past so we can learn lessons to move forward. But pretend that nothing happened in our Nigerian history that doesn't need reconciliation, we are deceiving ourselves, because hate crime did not come from this year. It's been there for the past 30 years, past 40 years, and it's still eating us up. We need to do a kind of reconciliation to deal with hate crimes.
It's a fine place to leave it, Vince. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. We've been speaking on tackling the rising insecurity in the country and trying to find solutions to the problem. And Vince Onyekwelu is a security consultant and a former British police officer who's been helping us offer solutions to some of the issues that we face. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.